Hello, in this video, I will be going over the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation. What was the war fought over? So there are two different theories as to why the war started. The first one was that it was fought to preserve the Union, and the second one was it was fought to end slavery. And I will talk about which one I think it was, but right now I will go over what happened that made the war start. Leading up to the war, there had been conflict between the northern and the southern states over slavery. The northern states wanted to abolish slavery, and the southern states wanted to keep slavery and expand it. The South began to be afraid that the North would eventually abolish slavery and that the federal government would try to control slavery in the slave state. In 1861, Abraham Lincoln became president. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, and that party was against slavery. This made the Southerners angry because no one in the South had voted for Abraham Lincoln. The North had overpowered the South, and the South basically had no more political power. This led many of the Southern states, 11 in total, to secede from the Union and form the Confederacy. One of the main principles of the Confederacy was that they wanted to preserve slavery. The Civil War started after the South had attacked and took over Fort Sumter. Abraham Lincoln had declared war on the Confederacy to prevent the states from seceding from the Union. Some of the advantages of the North of the Union were that they had a bigger population. There was 22 million people in the North, whereas there was 9 million people in the South. They had a better industry. They had more coal and iron. They had better resources. They had better manufacturing because they had more immigrants working in the factories. So they had more ammo, uniforms, weapons. They had a navy, and they also had an established government. Some of the advantages of the South was that they had established military tradition, so their soldiers would be better trained. They had very good officers like Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson. They had a better conviction, so they were fighting for survival, and they really wanted to fight, whereas some of the Northerners weren't willing to die in this war, and they were just willing to let the South go. And they didn't have to win. They just had to survive long enough so that the North would give up. And they also had to fight defensive battles, so they didn't have to travel. And also another thing was that DC was only across the river from them, so they had that tactical advantage. I will now go over some of the important battles of the war. The first important battle was the Battle of Bogoran. So this battle was important because it was connected to Ellen White, one of the founding pioneers of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and also sets the stage for the rest of the war. So prior to this battle, Ellen White had received a vision about it, and what she saw was that the North was charging against the South, and then an angel of God had interfered and caused confusion in the North. So the North started to retreat, and then the South started to push back onto the North. But the South also wasn't able to totally defeat the North because an angel also had caused confusion in them. And the reason God did this was to punish both the North and the South. He wanted the war to last longer than people thought it would. So he was punishing the North for allowing slavery to last for so long, and he was punishing the South for practicing the sin of slavery. God hates slavery. The second important battle of the war was the Battle of Antietam. So in the Battle of Antietam, the North pushed back the South, and this victory allowed Abraham Lincoln to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. This victory is important because it made the Emancipation Proclamation have more weight, so it seemed more serious, and it didn't seem like something that the North came up out of desperation. The Emancipation Proclamation was a military decree that basically said that all slaves in the South were free, and that if the rebelling states were to give up their slaves by a certain date, they could join the Union and they didn't have to fight. So Abraham Lincoln made this proclamation with the hope that some of the southern states would give up and they wouldn't have to fight them. The reason the Emancipation Proclamation was important was that it shifted the focus of the war from preserving the Union to ending slavery. Last important battle that I will talk about is the Battle of Gettysburg. This battle was important because this was a turning point of the war where the North started winning. So in this battle, the North had the high ground and the South just decided to keep on pushing. So the South ended up losing 1/3 of the people in their army, and this combined with a victory in the Battle of Vicksburg was what caused the Union to start winning. Now I will go back to the question in the beginning of the video. What was the war fought over? So as you can see, the war was initially fought over preserving the Union, but after the Emancipation Proclamation, it was shifted from preserving the Union to freeing the slaves. And another question would be, was the Civil War a just war? So my answer to that would be, at first, yes and no, because if the war was only fought to just preserve the Union, I would say that wouldn't be a just reason to start war. But if the main focus was to, which it eventually became the main focus, was to get rid of slavery, then I would say it was a just war. And in the end, the war ended up getting rid of slavery in America. So the answer to that question would be yes, the Civil War was a just war. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy your Christmas break.